All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans for today, Tuesday, July 6th, 2021. It is the first TNT call of quarter three. I can't believe we're already um, halfway through 2021. So, thank you so much for being here. And my name is Bill Soroka. I'm the founder of notarycoach.com. I'm the author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent. And I'm the host of the new podcast, The Side Hustle Lounge, where we get to talk about legit business opportunities, the mindset it takes to make them successful, and then the reasons we work so hard. So we get to talk about adventure and lifestyle design. I'm here usually with three co-hosts. Today, Carol is out for the day. Laura is probably at one of her training facilities running a little bit late.
Damn it.
Coming on. Laura, are you here? Was that you? No. Let's see here. Bear with me one second because I just want to check in. All right. So on today's call, we are going to hopefully have at least two of your hosts here today. And the way the calls work, it's like an old-fashioned call-in radio show. Use the raise hand feature in Zoom. When we call on you, just tell us what state you're in, ask your question, and if we need some backup information or have additional questions for you, we can certainly ask there as well. If you're wondering how you can get the email reminders for this, just visit notarycoach.com/TNT and register for this, and we'll send out these reminders. Let's see. Laura, are you with me? Laura, okay. Well, it's going to be really boring if it's just me. All right. Well, let's jump in and we'll get started, guys. The first 50 minutes of the phone call, we'll be able to answer Q&A. And then in the last 10 minutes, I've invited fellow notary and accounting professional, Renee Detman, to come on. And she's going to talk about an upcoming event that they're doing with a really interesting topic that I wasn't even aware of all the opportunities we have available to us with business credit. So they've created a masterclass. I'm going to have them come on and just talk about what they're creating there and why it might be of interest to us in that last 10 minutes. So we'll try to get through as many questions as possible, starting right now. First hand I see up, Randy Venters. Randy, how are you today? And is it Washington that you're in?
Yes, Bill, I'm in Washington.
Right.
I'm good. Thank you. So I have two questions. I emailed you one of them. It's a PDF that I think a visual aid would help if you can maybe pull that up. If not, no problem. But my first question is, I'm in Washington, and when people move, the DMV requires them to notify the DMV of their new address, but it does not require them to get a new ID until the renewal date. So in my journal, do I record the date, the address that is on their ID, or the address that they say they are currently living at?
Yeah, great question. So have you checked your state statute to see if there's a specific requirement for this?
I have, and there's no specific requirement. I have to record their name and the form of ID that I use to identify them, but nothing beyond that. So I can just put driver's license. I'm not required to put their driver's license number or anything like that. I just have to say that I looked at their driver's license and that's what I used. And then it's recommended I record other information, but it's not specified what that information is. It says that they recommend I record ID and take a thumbprint, but it's not required.
Got it. So the address column is then optional for you. So what I would recommend that you do is adopt one way of doing it that is the same throughout all of your signings. So I know some notaries that will actually just verbatim copy it right from the ID, whether it's accurate or not, just as further proof that they saw that ID perhaps. And then others actually record the address of the location of the signing or their current home address. So if it's optional, you're not going to be mandated by state, but so you have some flexibility there. What have you been doing so far, Randy?
I've just been copying their ID exactly as it is. And then if they tell me that's not our correct address, or obviously I know it's not their correct address because we're someplace else at a loan signing, then in my notes, I put, current address is, and also put that on there.
Perfect. Laura, welcome. I'm glad you made it.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Did you catch Randy's question? And I wonder if you want to chime in on that.
So it sounded like it was what address to put in the journal.
And Washington does not stipulate even having to, or even requiring an address in the first place. So it's an optional column.
Neither does California. So in that case, you can choose to put one at all. And then if you are putting one, you can choose what you're going to put in there. And my suggestion is whatever you choose to do, just be consistent about it. If you always write down what's on the ID, then just do that. So that if you're ever asked, you could say, my practice is this. If you ask and then you put what's actual, then that would be your practice, and just keep it consistent.
All right.
Excellent.
Thank you. And Bill, are you able to pull up my second question?
Let me see if we can get that here. Let me see if I can share this screen. I'm in a new location, so we'll try it. If it works, great. Oh, here we go. I think we can do it. Excellent. Can you guys see this okay?
Yes, thank you. So on this one, it says subscribed, affirmed, and acknowledged. The first thing is for Washington, it's missing the venue, and it's also missing the signers' names. So I was going to replace it with a loose acknowledgement or jurat, but I'm not sure whether it's an acknowledgement or a jurat, or if it's both, and what to replace it with.
Great question. Laura, what do you think?
Well, so I'm looking at the notarial wording there. It was subscribed as it was signed. Affirmed could be the equivalent of an oath or an affirmation, and acknowledged. I would go with the jurat. Because in a jurat, you watch them sign, and you wouldn't need the acknowledged because you watch them sign. So that's what I would replace it with, is the jurat.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, great question. All right, thanks for being here, Randy. All right. Okay, Michelle's iPhone is here. Michelle, would you like to unmute? Tell everybody what state you're in and then how we can help. Michelle's iPhone?
Hi,
oh,
Michelle from state of New Jersey. Thank you for taking my call. I just have one quick question. It's about asking for reviews. Is it appropriate to ask when you do a loan signing to ask the borrower for a review on your website?
Yeah, great question. So number one, I think asking for reviews from your signers is a good best practice all the way around, unless it is out of compliance or out of integrity with the rules of the companies that's hired you to go out there. So if some companies have strict policies against it, I haven't heard too many of those, but you just want to make sure you're in alignment, you're not stepping on anybody's toes. And it's really, no matter what it is that we're doing, it depends on your delivery, right? You want to make sure that you've got a solid relationship before you start asking people for stuff. So if you have done what we on this call and in our training programs advocate for, which is go the extra mile, you're staying connected, you're making eye contact, you're really developing a relationship, like you're using the appointment to build a foundation for a relationship that's going to last beyond this one single appointment. If you're doing all of that, then at the end, it would almost seem really natural to ask for a review. And some notaries have gotten really creative about how they do that, and also very efficient. So you don't want to make people work to do a review. If they have to log into this or click this link and then that link, and it becomes cumbersome, then they might get frustrated or irritated, and they're more apt to say something to their escrow officer or the real estate agent or something like that. So if you can make it really quick and then make sure that you have a relationship that justifies you asking that question, then I would say absolutely. Laura, do you have any opinion on that?
So it's just my personal opinion. I don't ask for them on loan signings. I save those requests when I'm doing general, and actually on general even, or especially lines of work, I don't even ask then. I do have lots of reviews people offer. Many times they'll say, do you collect reviews on Yelp or Google? I'd love to leave you one. I'm surprised actually how often it's offered up rather than me even needing to ask. So I haven't asked probably in a year or more. I have not asked for a review. They just appear. Aren't I lucky?
Wow, that's pretty
it's
amazing.
interesting that they're savvy enough that they realize it's important and they offer it up. So I think that's really cool when they're just saying, hey, I'd love to do that. Or they don't even mention it. The next thing you know, I get a text saying, hey, somebody left you a review either on Square, collects them. And I don't know if Square's prompting them, and then Google and then Yelp.
Yeah. Excellent. Wonderful perspective. Thank you. Michelle, was that helpful?
Great. Yes, it was. I'm asking because I did a signing and the signing company had asked the borrower to leave a review on how I did. And the borrower emailed me saying that they weren't able to access the, I guess the link the signing agency sent them, and were asking me if there's another way to leave a review. But I didn't realize that the company had requested it, so I give them my page, my Google business page.
Oh,
so,
excellent.
And then I got a text saying that I got a 5-star review, and then I got an email from the borrower stating that she sent me a review also, just as a follow-up. I guess she wanted to make sure I received it. And then when I opened it, I realized that the company had asked for the review. So I emailed the company stating that the borrower reached out to me saying that they weren't able to open up the review that they asked them to leave. So that's why I was asking, oh, maybe I should ask for, review in the future.
Yeah, excellent.
But thank you.
I love it when a client feels so strongly about the relationship and the experience that they go on their own volition, they go out and they do that for you. It doesn't always happen that way. And a lot of times people don't realize that we are a small independent business and that reviews do make a difference for us. So I think it's totally okay to prompt them for that. And most people, they're either will or they won't. Some people love your service and they're still just not reviewers. They're not going to do it. And that's okay too. I would definitely never hound people for a review, right? If you have a conversation about it, if it make it real quick, easy text message or email in your follow-up, that's one thing, but then let it go.
Right. Just to add to that, Bill, I think what's really important is not how many you have in total, but how recent they are. So if you're just getting a few and they're just coming in, so that it doesn't look like the last review you had that was good was 5 years ago. See, that doesn't tell anybody anything. You may not even be in business now. So I think what's really important is currency, that it's current.
Yeah. Currency is very important. Laura.
Great.
All right, great. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you so much.
All right.
You're welcome.
Tracy Stahl in Arizona. How's it going, Tracy? And how can we help today?
Great. Just one little thing I want to piggyback on Randy's question about the hybrid certificate. Laura, do you not have to ask the signer if it's a jurat or acknowledgement?
Well, the signer wouldn't know.
Right. But
They wouldn't know how to read our wording.
right.
You have a couple options as a notary. You can look to see what the certificate is saying. And based on that, if you have a certificate that says that, you don't need to ask anybody. If you feel that, so for instance, in California, we have a hybrid that has an acknowledgement and a jurat, and we cannot fill out that certificate. We have to fill out a jurat instead. Another option would be that we fill out a jurat and an acknowledgement. It just seems the acknowledgement is redundant when you've already watched them sign.
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
That was it. I only ask either a signer, if it's general work, or the assigning company, when it is not clear to me what it is. They didn't provide it, or they've provided wording that isn't an act in my state. It may be a notarial act, but not one for me. Then I need to get some help with that.
Okay, gotcha. So my question is about receiving capacities in a certificate. So I was told that in Arizona, you are not allowed to notarize that way. In a, how do you say it? A receiving capacity? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, representative capacity.
Representative. Let's think of that. Yeah, representative capacity. And so I had a signing this weekend or Friday, and there was something that came up that someone had said, well, why couldn't you? What do you mean? That we don't have an issue with that. So I did it both ways just to cover myself for when I delivered it this morning. And I called the NNA, I called the Secretary of State, and both conflicting back and forth 3 times with phone calls. And the NNA said, three different people said it, but the one guy said, you always want to go through Secretary of State, but I still don't understand why you would have to cross out the capacity. But so at the Secretary of State, one person said, you always have to cross it off. Another one said to me, well, is this real estate, ma'am? And I said, yeah. She goes, well, then you don't have to cross it out. Go to page 44, because it says you don't. She didn't say it says, but she says page 44 will show you don't have to cross it off. So I'm like, well, okay. Don't see that there, but I didn't tell her that. And so I went back to the NNA the last time, and they said they're going to look into it. He called me back and he said, there's still no reason you can't just leave it the way it, or what did he say? That you don't have to cross out the capacity.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm not aware that you would have to strike out the capacity either for Arizona. There's only a couple of states and California is one, that doesn't allow that.
And then they said California is the only state.
Yeah, see, I was going to say, I would have a hard time telling you who the other state was.
Yeah,
okay, but hold on, Tracy. So
sorry.
I believe all the other states do allow you to leave that in there. Some states, however, require you have them prove it, but most do not. They do not address proof of that.
Right.
Now, is it always a good idea? I'd always ask, do you have something that shows me you're that capacity? You have that capacity. If your state doesn't require the proof, then I would move on. If they didn't happen to have it, I'd say, all right, do you acknowledge to me that you have that? And I'd write it in my journal that they acknowledged they had that capacity. That's not enough if you're in a state that requires proof. But Arizona is not a state, I believe, that requires the proof.
No.
And so there's a big time trainer in Arizona that talks about always cross out the receiving capacity, husband and wife, trust.
Husband and wife is not representative. That's a different
that's what we were told.
Bill, you're a big time trainer in Arizona there.
Yeah, it wasn't him, but
what's the story there? I mean, I can look it up myself. I can, close out for a second and go look at your Secretary of State's information, although sometimes your Secretary of State's information isn't always so clear.
Right.
And it means you have to make the best decision. My understanding is it's okay to be in there. You don't have to have the proof. That's my understanding and not limited to real estate documents, but most likely.
Right. That's what the NNA, they said it has nothing to do with real estate.
Yeah, that's exactly as I understand it, Tracy. We don't have to have, just like Laura, I like to see the proof. So like if it's attorney, in fact, I like to see the power of attorney document. If they have their corporation documents, but
many times
I have never seen or had any issue with a requirement to strike those out ever in Arizona.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay. Very
so
good.
I think you're good to go.
All right, that helps. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to say that Tracy really brings up not this particular point, but how you can get conflicting information depending on the source. You trust your Secretary of State, you trust the NNA hotline, and both hire people like us who are looking at the book. I mean, they don't create the rules at the Secretary of State's office. They have to look at them and interpret them. What is it saying, right? Because they don't create the rules or the laws. Their job is to implement them and execute them. And the NNA is looking at them as a resource, one of their resources, to say, well, what does the state say about that? And if it's not written in a clear manner, you are going to get this kind of issue. And unfortunately, you're going to do the best that you can. You're going to get more than one resource to say yes. When you have two or more that say yes, maybe that's what you're going to go with when you have this issue.
And Secretary of State, one said you always cross it off, and the other one said only for real estate you don't. And then another thing I was going to say, so I lost it.
And then document in your journal. It's your BFF.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, the title agency told me half the notaries strike it out, half of them don't. They've never had a problem either way, they told me.
Yeah, title company is never my resource.
No, but I just wanted to know what they thought about it, you know?
Yeah.
Or, you know, so.
Yeah, they're right next to Facebook for me in terms of notary law.
Yeah.
But for everything else.
Yeah. And that's one of the challenges we have. And I don't know about other states. I've heard some crazy stories, but Tracy, here in Arizona, if you don't like the answer you get from the Secretary of State, just call back, because you'll get a different answer no matter who picks up the phone. It's really, it was really frustrating when I first started out, because I wanted somebody to just either point out, give me a reference where we can go. But it is at Arizona in particular, it's literally whoever picks up the phone.
Yeah.
And some of them are very snotty and don't really want to help you.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Great question. Thank you, Tracy. All right. Joe. He's just Joe. Joe, would you like to unmute?
So,
Tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, thanks. I'm from California, and I have a big question. So I just passed the notary exam last May. Well, they got the news of June, and we're entering July, right? So I called them up and I asked them how long it's going to take them to do the background check, and it's going to say like 3 to 8 weeks, I think. So I'm just waiting around for that. Is there any way we can keep tabs on the background check process? Like, is there any site that lets us know what phase we're in, when in terms of the background check, or is it just completely
I'd probably just have to say no automatically, but I'll also say that some of these background check companies might have a process for that, but I think it's so individual because it depends on the other states that you lived in, cities that you lived in, all of that they're getting their information from. So I don't know that there's like a Pizza Hut tracker, right? That says, okay, you're in this phase now, this phase, and we'll be complete next week. I've never heard of that. Cool idea, but I don't think so. Yeah, it totally would. Totally would. So I think you just kind of sit back and wait. But here's the beautiful thing about this business is there's no such thing as wasted time. There is always something to do or study in this business so you can hit the ground running. So use this time. It's almost a gift. Sometimes this forced waiting period, because you can take a course, read a book, do something that's going to prepare you so you can jump right in and optimize right away.
Okay. I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm also reading your book too. And I'm enjoying it.
Thanks.
But I do like the quotes. But I have a question. It leads me to another big question I have. So
Sure.
Is it possible to get mentored by an actual mobile notary while in process of my commission?
Yeah, absolutely. Like an in-person mentor in your area.
Oh yeah, or any just the nearest person within California, Southern California.
Well, first, I would absolutely recommend that you raise your standard beyond proximity, because you absolutely want to make sure that if you're going to get mentored by someone, that it's not just because they're close to you, but it's because they know what they're talking about and that they're open to being a mentor. You know, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with mentorship, and not everybody wants to do it. So they do absolutely exist. Some people will charge a small fee for it, sometimes a large fee for it. Sometimes people will do this as part of their give back program. So they do exist. My recommendation, before I pass this over to Laura, because I know she has some great feedback too, is to get dialed in on your notary community and find ways first to give value. And a lot of times when you're just starting out, it's real easy to think, well, what value do I have? I'm just starting out. I don't know anything notary. But you were something before you got here too. You know, if you have other skill sets, however that may have looked, get really creative in finding a way to make it worth people's time. Even on Facebook, if it's in some of the groups or some of the other communities too, find a way to give value first, because there's hundreds of posts that just says, who will be my mentor? Nothing else. Who will be my mentor? Can someone mentor me? So it's a two-way street. Keep that in mind. So add value and then have a screening process, so you're not learning the wrong way of doing things. Laura, what do you have to say on this?
Well, I'm going to jump right on that screening process, because it doesn't help to have somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. So if you have somebody who says, yes, I'd love to mentor you, then I'd want to know, how long have you been a notary in my state? Or if you're not in my state, do you know about my state rules? I mean, I'm in California, but I know a lot of different states, just because of the background I have, but that's pretty unique. Most notaries know their state, and they may or may not know a lot about other states. So I just think making sure that they have the right background. And the other thing is, you want somebody who resonates with you, because their style may not be a style that works well for you. So you want to have some conversations to see, do you feel that trust developing between you, and do you feel that that style, works for you? Because it doesn't matter if they're good at what they do, they know what they know. If it comes off in a style that isn't good for you, you're not going to like it.
Yeah, I've had that before. I don't want to go through that again.
Okay.
Right. And Joe, there might very well be some amazing potential mentors for you on this very call. So if you would like, type in your email address in the chat window, and somebody on here that is open to at least having that conversation with you can reach out to you there.
Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah, Matt is asking what county you're in.
Yeah,
Joe.
where are you?
I'm in Riverside County.
Oh,
it's
Southern California.
Yeah, it's kind of next to LA County.
In there.
Yeah. So, and I also, what I'd like to say on that too, Joe, is having a local mentor. When we're first starting out, we think that would be like the end all be all. So we just wait and we wait and we wait to find a local mentor. And I don't want that to jam you up. You can absolutely succeed and thrive in this business without a local mentor. So don't let it stop you. Don't let it be a crutch to you. It would be an excellent little add-on bonus to have that level of connection with somebody, but you can do this business without that.
Okay. Yeah. I just don't want to make a major mistake.
Yeah. Group where there's two or more, if you can identify notaries that are in your local area, you can help each other. I mean, that's how I started, with a meetup group of 3 or 4 notaries. We took turns and suggesting marketing ideas and looking up notary law. I mean, we just look at the handbook and we say, let's talk about identification. Where does it say that? It doesn't say that. And we kind of argue it out together to come to a conclusion or consensus about what we thought that meant. And there's a lot of value in that.
I love that. Talk about geeking out, literally. Yeah. I love it.
This is Michael Petrie in Miami. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to share some of the fundamentals that I got out of it when I first started doing this. And obviously, Bill, I took your course. That totally helped me out. So I think having the fundamentals first, right? Learning the process, trusting the process, and Bill's course, I took it. It really showed me how to actually go through a closing, right? What you say in the beginning, in the middle, in the end. So I think looking at the products that are out there and looking at the information, the training, even Laura's stuff, I got your stuff for trust. So all that stuff, like, it doesn't really matter if you read it. You just have to really know the information, and then you got to practice. And you know, there's Bill, in your program, you have sample docs. So just role playing with people, just getting all that information, because that's exactly what you're going to need before you go to market, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Michael, thank you very much for that. And Joe, Michael brings up a really good point too, is everything's going to be really overwhelming here in the beginning, but if you can, especially because you have some forced time right now, you can have mock appointments, you know, sit down with a spouse, a friend, a roommate, a neighbor, your cat, whatever it is, and have some practice appointments, get some traction on that. So you can look at a notarial certificate and several different styles of notarial certificates and fill those out. If you're going into loan signings, you know, print out an entire loan package and practice those things out. Build the confidence that you need. If you don't have the real world experience yet, make it up, you know, create your own real world experience. It's not quite the same, of course, but you can put yourself in all kinds of different scenarios and just go through the process, practice a script if you have one, get used to people staring at you while you're filling out ID information, because that gets really awkward there in the beginning, especially when we're walking into a stranger's house. So you can mitigate a lot of those feelings and that awkwardness in the beginning right now before you actually get in front of a customer.
All right. Well,
All right,
thank you
Joe.
guys for these. Yeah, thanks so much for the information. I just want to say that before you guys move on.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for being here and welcome to the industry, Joe.
Thanks.
All right. Gloria Holt, nice to see you on today.
Hi there, how are you? Hey, thanks so much. I wanted to just say real quick, like, I'm having a heck of a lot of fun with this. Just loving the people that I meet and I talk to all the time. And advice to Joe is just keep it light and friendly. Don't worry, everything works out. And you know, I love the freedom that it gives me too, because I can go out hiking, you know, break off for a week or two and go hiking and stuff. So it's really super. Anyway, I have a real quick question, probably a Laura question. I had a signing with one of my attorneys on a trust. And the signer, one of the signers had an expired driver's license. And it's my understanding that you have to have a current one. But the attorney, he says, oh, no, they're good for 5 years. And he pulled up on his phone some kind of a code, which it looked like it looked right. So I'd like to have a little clarification on that.
Gloria, are you California?
Yes.
All right, so the 5-year rule he's talking about is from the issuance date. So if it's expired, you look at the issuance date, which is a tiny little date down at the bottom, the date they
Right.
issued that card. And if it's less than 5 years old, yes, you may use it, but it is not 5 years from the expiration. And that's where
Okay.
what happens.
Okay. Well, I went ahead with it on his recommendation, but I'll be watching for that from now on. Okay.
Yeah, so next to title companies and Facebook, go attorneys. When it comes to notary law, there you go.
I know,
So
he gives me
true.
good business, so that's all right. I'll play with him. All right. Thanks so much, guys. This is awfully good information.
All right. Thanks, Gloria. All right. Sharon Brake, always a pleasure to see you in California.
Hi, good afternoon. Listen, my question, and I think I missed if Gloria just mentioned something about this or not, I'm not sure. I was distracted for a minute, but can you accept an expired driver's license with a paper extension in California, Laura?
Well, the first answer is no. We have to rely on the hard card. The extensions do not help us. There were some COVID extension that was acceptable to us if they were over 70. Then they got an extra year, and we treated the card as current. But other than that one exception, no. And no
Okay.
temporary driver, no like driver's permit, that doesn't work either.
Okay. And do you go by the date or the year? So for example, this client's driver's license expired. It was issued on December 20th, 2016. So it'll expire, it will be invalid for certain if he doesn't get renewed before December 20th of the end of this year.
Right, so December 19 or December 20, whatever the expiration date is.
The date, not the year.
Yeah, it's the actual date in the year.
Got it. Okay. That's it. Thank you so much.
All right, you got it. Great question, Sharon. And before we move on, I just want to real quick announce next Tuesday, the 13th, a couple hours after TNT, we're having a special training webinar. You guys know I loved sending out cards. It changed my business and my life in deepening relationships. And I made some incredible connections that led to several multiple six-figure clients. And we're going to share the actual tool called Send Out Cards next Tuesday. Totally free to come in and hear about that. I've got Eileen and Judy O'Higgins who's going to participate in that too. I'm going to type the registration link inside the chat for you. So if you'd like to join us, you certainly can. And I will send this out via email too. So no stress if you're driving or can't see the chat. All right, Suhaili, love seeing you on here. I know you're in Texas. So what's going on? How can we help today?
I'm always struggling trying to take it off on mute.
That's our world.
How's
Yep.
it going? So excited. Okay, so I have two questions. The first question is, what's the correct steps for the scenario I'm about to give? Okay, so are we allowed to say signers just a first name to kind of show the example?
Oh, like Bob?
Oh yeah. I think that's
Okay, I know. I don't know. I was like, I had to ask.
just not their birth date, social security number, address, and last name, please.
Okay, perfect. So my question is, I had a situation where the signer, we're in Texas, it's a property in Illinois, it's an investment property. On the documents, it says Reynaldo with a Y, but his ID said Reynaldo with an I. Is that like a really big deal? Do we need to continue to like show me proof of correct? Like, what's the proper process in that situation?
What was his explanation for that discrepancy? That'd be my first question. Why is it different?
I asked, well, I let him know, and he said that just people always write it, they just always write it with a Y. Now he did show me other IDs that he both had the Y and the I. I'm just wondering, what if he didn't? How would I go about that?
Well, still, I think it matters about which one is wrong. Is the document wrong? The document should be fixed so that it's right. If the ID is misspelled because the DMV messed up and he just hasn't gotten back around to get another ID with the correct spelling, I would document that, and I would say, okay, well, if they misspelled your name on your ID, but everybody else gets it right, do you have cards in your wallet that show me the correct spelling that match your document? I just want a little something extra to support his story. But I think it matters on which one was incorrect, which direction I'm going to go.
Well, when I first noticed it, I immediately sent like an email to title, and they basically told me to kind of just like write it, also known as on my journal or something like that. Now there was in the document, there was that name, the name affidavit had both names.
Right, but the name affidavit doesn't support the notary. That takes care of the lender. So I'm still not hearing from you which spelling was correct, the ID or the document?
The ID.
So his ID was correct and the document was spelled incorrect. He had an incorrect, and the title didn't want him to strike initial and fix his first name. Yeah, so I'm going to tell you, I wouldn't go with that title direction myself. It is not a good day for title companies for me. I would let them know the first name is misspelled. He has it correct on his ID. Here's what I'd like to see happen is have his name correct on the document. May he strike initial and correct. so that it supports what I've got in the ID. I don't think it's okay to rely on the name affidavit. I don't think it's okay to just let it be. I think you need to resolve it. And then in the journal, you would document whatever path you chose.
Okay.
Because it was wrong on the document. So there was nothing wrong with his ID.
So I think that situation is weird because what he showed me was a passport. The passport had the other name. That's why I was like, that's weird. And he has credit. I mean, when we kind of looked, he has credit cards, everything. He has some with the Y, some with the I. And I
Holy
was like, that's really
smokes.
weird.
He's not a good candidate for notarization. I'm thinking he's kind of sketchy. I'm thinking here.
Yeah, I thought it was
That really
very
is
strange.
an issue when we're trying to rely on the ID that this is the right guy. And he's got stuff in both names, even his IDs in both names. Then I do think that he better have an as known as, otherwise the lender is going to have some issues as well with that. And he could support, you could notarize this spelling, also known as this spelling, because he had proper ID in both spellings.
That's what I say. That's what I ended up doing. I went with the passport, but I did make notations in my journal just in case.
Yeah, but he was able to support both spellings. Then I think that would have been a good thing to do, because any of us could do that. We could have a note also known as this other name. If they had photo ID to support both names, you can put both names in there. He obviously is going by both.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. And then my second question is actually directed to you, Miss Laura. When is your next Texas training that's equivalent to, I think, the one you're doing this Saturday?
Well, the one I'm doing this Saturday is the one I'm doing this Saturday.
Well, I mean, if you had to be scheduled one, because I got the email and I went to log in and I didn't have payment in my hand. And then when I went back, it was like, it was full. And I was like, oh no, all dramatic like.
Yeah, it's sold out, but what, in like 48 hours? I mean, it was very quick.
Yep.
Pretty much right after, in the next day or so, it was done.
Yeah, so I didn't know if you had scheduled another one.
We will come back to Texas, but there's some other states that are waiting. So we need to take care of them first before we come back to Texas and California.
Okay, sounds good. And that's it.
All right. Thanks, Suhaili. Great to see you on today.
You too.
All right. Lisa Oaks in California. Lisa, great to see you on today. How's it going? How can we help?
Hey there. Doing well. Thank you for having me. Quick question. If the instructions from the signing service is different from the escrow's instructions, which one do I follow? Hashtag every loan I get.
I'm sorry. Did you say from the signing company versus the escrow?
Right.
Yeah.
Conflicting instructions. Okay.
Yeah.
Specifically, who to send the documents back to?
Oh.
Or do I scan or I don't scan? Or, I mean, really, it's been everything.
Yeah, that's a good question. So a lot of times, remember that just in the flow of the way things go, sometimes a title company or a closing agent, they're preparing who's ever delivering the goods might get instructions. So that might be designated to the signing company, who then is hiring you. And then the signing company might have their own instructions. So you deliver it to the signing company, so then they can follow those escrow instructions. That's oftentimes how it goes. Yes. But again, it doesn't always go that way. Lots of gray. And the challenge I have with escrow instructions or notary instructions in general is they try to use the same ones, copied and pasted on every single document. So you end up not reading them at all because they don't, half of them don't apply to the situation in general. Laura, do you have?
And then you're trying to decide which ones apply to this.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I'd have to say, if anything makes this job hard, I'm a rule follower and I want clear rules so I know that I do the right thing.
Oh boy. Hope you have enough vodka.
There is not enough vodka in the world.
Exactly. Laura, did you have some suggestions on clarifying this?
You know what? I look to see who the instruction is addressed to, because sometimes that helps me. If I can see that it's addressed to not me, not the notary. It's addressed to somebody that's the closing, like it'll say settlement agent or closing agent. That's not me.
Right. Yeah.
So
I
when
can, I understand that.
then I say, okay, that's not for me. And then I look at the FedEx label. Like, that's the label you gave me, buddy. That's where it's going.
Exactly. That's the bottom line, right?
Sometimes you can't tell. And when that happens, then I just reach out who hired me and said, look, I need to confirm where I'm sending this, or I need to confirm I was told no scanning needed, but yet I see scanning instructions on here. And of course, I let them know I would not have taken your job had I known there was scanning. Are you telling me now you need it? No, no need. It was just on there. So when I'm not sure and I'm going to make a decision like that, I'll usually confirm it with my hiring company.
Okay. I've been doing that, going to the signing service, because I feel like they're the ones that hired me, give them the respect, chain of command. But it is really frustrating every time. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great question. And I agree, that is very frustrating. All right. Jessica, also in California, you want to unmute and tell us how we can help today?
Hi. I had my first signing on Friday.
All right.
I did not get the modern journal. I got a classic journal. So I'm wondering, even though most of the fields are blank, they do have a check for acknowledgement and jurat, and it is spelled out. So I'm wondering if I can check and circle, or do I, so it's fine. I don't have to write it out.
No.
Okay.
It's
As
there.
long as it's spelled, completely spelled out.
It's there.
Oh, good. I just wanted to make sure. That's all I had.
Okay, good. Easy enough. All right. Dan Trail, it's so great to see you on. How's life in Texas and how can we help? Oh, we can't hear you, Dan Trail. You're not on mute anymore, but we can't hear you.
Mute, unmute. Try that.
You there's a little arrow next to the microphone. You can select your microphone. Maybe it's on the wrong one.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go.
Gotcha.
All right. It's great to be here. Texas is doing pretty good. It's kind of hot, but yeah, I don't really have a question. I was watching a video a couple months ago, and Daniel Lewis, he had a great suggestion to join your local chamber of commerce. And said that would be great for business. You meet a lot of people, and it has been great for me so far. I joined last week.
All right.
They actually asked me to be an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce. So I've attended a couple events. We had this golf tournament where I, at the country club. So I was able to meet, really you just meet all the people that you need to meet. And it's kind of things kind of been coming along.
Awesome.
So yeah.
All right.
Good. If you want to get your business out there and hand out business cards. So I think that,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's a really great suggestion, Jantrell, and I'm so glad that you jumped right on it. A lot of these networking opportunities, especially like the chambers, where you're connected to the really kind of the movers and shakers for a city. They all know everyone, and that can really advance your business, especially if you like to talk to people, which you obviously do. So I think that's going to serve you really well. Thanks for sharing that tip. Guys, we're coming.
I'm sorry, I want to add to that.
Yeah, please.
Anybody who's going to join a networking group, particularly the chamber, it will not change your life if you just pay your membership fee. Yeah. You have to get in there and be on a committee, attend the mixers so that you can become involved. I was on the ribbon cutting committee for quite a few years, which means every time a new business opened, I was part of this small group of 10 or 12 people that would show up with these gigantic scissors and we get our picture done, grand opening for their business. And then you'd get to talk not only with the people you came with, but the new business owner. And so I really found that my first year or two with the chamber, I didn't get a whole lot out of it. But as soon as I got onto these committees where I was doing something in small groups, it made a big difference because people got to know you directly.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys, we're coming up on the last 10 minutes of the call. I'm sorry to leave some hands raised. You know where to find us, though. I posted our contact information, Laura's contact information. You can find me, especially if you're in Sign and Thrive. I make my text phone number openly available. I have SpeakPipe for voicemails, and then we have office hours tomorrow as well. For today, the closeout today's call, I've invited Renee Dentman up to and one of her associates to share about her upcoming masterclass on business credit. There is so much that I did not understand about business credit, so I'm actually looking forward to participating in this too. And Renee, if you are here and ready to go, I'd love to turn over the microphone to you.
Hello, everyone. Hi again. Thank you for having me on the show. I just wanted to introduce Ms. Dawson. She is an expert when it comes to business credit. Business credit is so important when it comes to the notary world. Why? Because just in case that we have to manage our cash flow and our expenses, and we have to be treated like a real business. And it's just very beneficial. Let's just say in a situation where you needed new tires. Well, business credit is going to be able to allow you to leverage because you are set up like a business. And we're rolling out a course that is going to help notaries specifically to learn the right steps when it comes to setting it up successful. So I'm going to give the mic to my business partner, Ms. Dawson, and just kind of give you the top checklist that you need just to kind of prepare for this course if this is something for you. Ms. Dawson?
Yes. Hello. Thank you, Phil, for having us on today. Yeah, so we are having the business credit master course geared towards notaries and loan signing agents. The course is going to be a great starter for those who may be in the beginning stages of building business credit, or if you have not started at all. Some of the key things that we will be going over is what I call fundability, which are the things you need to have in place in order to start establishing business credit. So we'll be going over like business bank accounts, whether you're structured properly, like if you have an entity set up like LLCs, a professional email, website, all those branding things that are really important for your business tie into business credit. So we'll be going over that. We'll also be going over types of credit you can use in order to, maybe you're in the beginning and you're still trying to launch your notary business. So we'll talk about how you can maybe get funding to be able to get things like the printer you may need, car if you need a new car for it, because we are driving all the time, our maintenance done to your car, just the everyday things that you need to run your business. We'll talk about how you can leverage your business credit in order to do that. That way you're not using all of your cash flow while you're in the beginning stages of growing your business.
Yes, absolutely. So there's like companies out there that really want to do business with notaries specifically, like sister companies to Staples, that you're able to get paper. We buy paper all the time. And sometimes we don't get paid at notary until net 30, right? Net 30 is just 30 days delayed, right? So we're just allowing you to not pay now, pay later, and it has nothing to do with your personal credit. So you don't have to use your personal fund to start up your business. So within 45 days, we are going through the process for 3 days to just really teach you the right way, and you don't get lost in the process and you don't have any roadblocks, right? This is a viral information. It is definitely affordable, and it's just something good to have for when you're moving into the next level of just scaling your business in the notary industry. So the total amount is about approximately $50,000 that we are providing to you guys to have access of business credit. And it starts July the 16th, which is on a Friday at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time and 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. It is definitely an incredible opportunity. And I just wanted to tell you guys some wins. Okay, so last time we came on this show, we talked about notary PPP, right? Well, we were able to fund 153 notaries throughout the state and the nation.
So crazy. I love that.
$1.3 million of loan forgiveness. So we just want to give you the fundability to your company and bring you with the financing of that. So thank you so much for having us on your show, Bill. We really appreciate that. And we hope that we'll see some of you guys on Friday, July the 16th.
Renee, I'm so glad that you brought up those wins because I just could not believe that. So for those of you that may not remember, Renee and Leslie helped organize the PPP loan application and the forgiveness program. Was that 2 months ago now, I think? So that just blows me away. $1.3 million.
Just for 1 month.
Notaries. For 1 month. That's amazing. Well, thank you for all the work that you've done. I know that you're going to bring tremendous value. Just after our conversation yesterday, I know I'm going to learn so much about business credit and building that up to something that has not even been on my radar. So I love that. And thank you for bringing that to us. I posted the link in the chat. I'll also include that in the replay email that goes out a little later on this afternoon. Renee and Leslie, thank you so much. All right. I think we have time for a couple more questions. Laura, are you available?
I'm here somewhere. The screens keep popping around, but I'm here.
All right. Rosetta Easley, if you're available, I'd love to hear from you. If you want to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help today.
Hi, everyone. I am from Delaware. Can you guys hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, because I'm having a little technical difficulties here. But I just have a quick question. I'm always on, YouTube looking at different things, to learn, to always stay a student. But I saw someone on their channel saying there's a difference between notary, loan signing agent, and executive closing agent. Have you guys ever heard of that? Executive closing agent?
Sounds fancy, Laura.
I know it sounds really fancy, like the way that she was explaining it. Her explanation to me, it sounds like she was, I guess, not going through like some of the agencies. She was just doing it direct. So it's like she was promoting to basically, it's better to go direct from straight out the box instead of doing it with the agencies. And she was saying how you get more money and it's more lucrative, and it's executive. She calls it executive closing agent. So I just wanted to know if any of you guys on here heard that term used, and instead of notary loan signing agent or or the other terms that we use.
I say it's marketing.
Exactly. I was just going to say, I don't think this is an official term, but I will tell you that I absolutely love it. This is outside the box thinking. Yeah. This is somebody who is, a couple of weeks ago, I talked about the book, The Blue Ocean Strategy, separating yourself from the Red Sea of competition where everybody else is saying the same thing. This is somebody who stepped outside of that and said, I'm going to call myself an executive closing
agent.
And here's what that looks like for you. So I'm sure she's got a value proposition for customers too.
Yes.
And the word executive, I mean, that's elevating. I'm sure she commands top dollar for her fees too with her direct clients. So
yes, because she said she usually gets anywhere from $250 to $350 for a closing. And she does commercial, like she does a lot of commercial.
Yeah, that's what we can all do for sure. And I love commercials as well, but yeah, this is, it sounds like, and again, I haven't seen it or anything. I might be totally speculating here, but she's carved out a niche for herself. She's decided what she wants to work at, and she's gone after getting it. All of these opportunities are available to all of us too. Every single one of us on this call. If you decide that I want to work with commercial, you can target your ideal customer to that. If you want to go escrow direct, there's no rule that says that you have to go through signing companies first.
Okay.
We teach that way because it's a real easy way to get your foot in the door. There's plenty of business. You get to kind of make a few mistakes in a more forgiving environment usually. So you can kind of figure things out. And then if you want to, you can go escrow direct. But I started going escrow direct. I didn't know there were signing companies. I didn't know the NNA existed. You know, when I first got it, I was charging ahead and doing it, thinking I had invented this new career. But little did I know there's people everywhere doing this.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of different ways to make this work.
I see that now. I really see that, and I'm glad. I'm glad that you guys were saying, you know, that's good, because now it's making me think out of the box on certain things that I wanted to do, but was kind of afraid to do it, thinking that that's not what, you know, that's not what a notary should do. But there are a lot of things that we can do as notaries, but it just seems like, but you don't always need to use your stamp. But as a, you know what I mean? But you're a notary, but you have that knowledge. And it seems like once they know you have that knowledge and know you're a notary, to that person, it's like, oh, this person knows exactly what they're doing, and get paid for it.
Yeah, there's so much, this role that we play is so much bigger than the notary public commission. That's critically important work. That's the most governed of what we do, right? There's certain rules that we have to follow. When you start expanding beyond that, you start doing the loan signing and the presentation of documents, or if you get into the specialty notary work realm and you're working specifically with living trust, or if you're going outside and you're doing wedding officiant or fingerprinting or whatever it is, there's going to be a lot of conversation coming up on a term. And I love this term, and a CEO that is so excited about notaries and what you guys do and the professionalism that you bring to all industries, is he's calling you credentialed professionals.
Wow.
Whenever you think that just blew my mind when I heard this. There's this expectation that we have a criminal background check, that we're professional, that we're going to dress a certain way, that we're astute, and we can handle ourselves in unusual situations. And there are companies all over the world that need people like us to do at-home or in-business visits with their clients. So there's endless opportunities for this. Sometimes it's the notary involved, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
So I encourage you to kick down the walls to this box.
Okay.
There's so much opportunity out there. And Laura, I want to give you a chance to jump in on that, because this is an exciting topic for both of us.
Well, it is. And, you know, for those who are new, you know, loan signing agent, LSA, notary signing agent, NSA. I mean, it's all made up. It's all marketing terms to describe something that's been created, which are notaries who happen to specialize in loan documents. And NNA has done a great job of certifying this name, this title that we hold. But frankly, it's a marketing term, and we could call ourselves anything we want to call ourselves. It's just that they've done such a great job. Everybody knows what that is. Whereas when you say executive, you know, closing person, we're like, well, wait a minute, what is that? You know, it's not as recognized. I love that somebody has decided to do that. That's like me saying, you know what? I think general notary work is, bleh. I like specialty notary work. That didn't exist before I started saying it. Right. So it just becomes the tag, and it becomes associated with what you're doing. So yay. I just love that expansion. That's an expansive mind thoughts.
Yes.
So, I mean, go run with it.
Yeah.
Oh, executive closing agent it is then.
Or come up with your own too.
Yes.
I love that credentialed professional too. I think there's a lot of people who could fit that with those same types of skill sets. And so getting that associated to our world, our notary world, would be the connection that needs to be made.
Yes.
But I love that.
Yes. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Thank you, Rosetta. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the industry. We're 4 minutes past our time together, guys. I love hanging out with you. Laura, thank you so much for being here. Glad you were able to stay the entire time. Thank you all for growing yourself and your business on a Tuesday. We will be back, hopefully all three of us, next week, same time, same place. Talk to you guys later.